Bhai Khalsa, Bhai I was expecting to speak a lot earlier when it was like half the amount of Sangat here. I don't talk very often. I do many talks. But I just want to share a little bit with you. I was inspired by Singh when he came, and he spent 3 or 4 hours teaching us how to do Joojhaar. And he said, select a topic that really inspires you, or as you've been inspired by in Sikhi in the last 3 or 4 years, and talk about that. It's only going to be about 10 or 15 minutes, but I want to talk about Shastars today, which are Sikh weaponry. So there's some Shastars at the front when we come every single day. When we come in the direction of Maharaj. In front of Maharaj are the Shastars that are there. And ever since I was younger, I always had a fascination with weaponry and Shastars. In the last 4 or 5 years, I've decided to look into that further, research it. I just wanted to look a little bit more into past the physical and a little bit more on the spiritual aspect of it. You'll have to forgive me as well because my Punjabi is very bad, so it's going to be entirely in English. And maybe someone can translate it in Punjabi. I wanted to start with Tu Samrat Tuda Meri Mat Thodiram. I'm just learning. I don't know very much. I've looked in a few books, but I'm probably going to make a lot of mistakes. So I ask for your forgiveness and the Guru's forgiveness. So I want to start with what are Shastars? Whenever you hear Shastars, the only word in English that is used to translate the word Shastar is weapon. And I don't think it does justice to that word Shastar that we have in Punjabi. There's no word in English that can translate or convey what Shastar means. With that word weapon, it always has an aggressive connotation. You think weapon, in this world now in the West where we live, what do you think connotations are with harm, with war, with death, synonymous with death and war. And so when you hear the word Shastar, in the West they refer to weapon. And actually for us, for Sikhs, it carries the inverse, carries the complete opposite. For Sikhs, that gift, that is Shastar that was gifted to us by the Guru, is the technology by which we have the capability as Sikhs to protect and preserve life. To preserve the dignities for those who are weak, vulnerable, those who cannot defend themselves. And I think in an ever-changing climate now in society in the West, just yesterday I had the TV on, I looked at the news, and CNN, there was a shooting in a Florida airport, and I looked at the headline on the news was just weapons used at airport. And what does that start to do in society now? People hear weapons and they start to associate that with something negative, and it can instill fear. So I think in a time now where people in the West live in fear, particularly of weapons, it's important that we as Sikhs who carry Shastar are educated and we understand what Shastars are to us. And if you're in the workplace, if you're in public, you're able to educate others and explain to them what Shastars are to Sikhs, what they mean to us, so that if there ever comes a time in the future where the ability of a Sikh to carry a Gurmat in the UK's question, then we have the answers for the public. Because I'm sure if we're able to explain them to them in a way that the Gurus explained to us, then people would realise actually these are here for the preservation and protection and peace. Some technical difficulties. So I want to start with what are Shastars. I've gone a little bit through the physical. I'd like to go a little bit through the physical, and then a little bit on the spiritual aspect. So the computer's given up on me, so I'll carry on. Just open. So physically, we've got the kirpan, which is the everyday kirpan everyone sees today, is only very small, maybe 9 or 10 inches. But originally in the times of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, a kirpan was a full size, so 3 feet long. And only during the times when the British came to India, and they fought 4 wars, 4 Anglo-Sikh wars, the biggest minority in India gave up the biggest resistance against the English forces, and that was the Sikhs. And eventually, when the British established British Raj in India, they thought, how do we demilitarize this nation? How is this nation that is so small and so strong, how do we defeat them? And one of the first things that they propagated was, okay, the kirpan that they carry, which allows them, gives them the presence and it is a symbol of their sovereignty. We'll diminish that. We'll make it smaller. So they made a kirpan which you see today, which actually is commonly referred to as a khanjar, or would have been referred to as a khanjar, is the size of the kirpan that we carry today. We then have the qatar, and that's there's an example of a qatar at the front as well, which is a punch dagger, which was carried by all of those in the Khalsa army, and it was used to pierce armour. So the tip of the blade was a lot thicker in cross section than the base, and this allowed to pierce armour. The common armour that was worn was like a breastplate and a backplate and 2 side plates. I don't know if anyone's aware, but a few years ago, at auction, a lot of things that were there in Punjab have been bought back by the British. The governor of Punjab, Lord Dalhousie, was Scottish. A lot of the main principal people who were in charge of Punjab when the British were there actually bought a lot. They bought everything back. There's a list that was published in a book recently that was a list of things that were taken from Maharaja Ranjit Singh's armoury, and on that list was one of Guru Gobind Singh Ji's swords and one of Guru Gobind Singh Ji's gulgis, and there's evidence that gulgi was brought back to England and sold for £10 to the highest bidder. This is our heritage that has been bought back. If we don't look after it, if we don't have the foresight to go out there and collect our heritage and look after it, what will the future generations have to see? In India recently, you can go there, you can see Shastars of Maharaj and Baba Bidi Dal Chand, the Dal that came recently bought Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji's Shastar. The swords, the Shastars that were held by the Gurus themselves, we have them, but in this, there's a picture here, and it's unfortunately not working very well. There's a picture of some Shastars in a display case, and most beautiful Shastars, and there's a bit of irony associated with it, because I look at them and I think, actually, these have been preserved really, really well, but it's in a museum in Russia. So our artifacts, our heritage, is spread all across the world, and we have no idea where it is. Not only do we have no idea where it is, we don't know. We have no way of getting it back. So that was one thing that I wanted to share. And then the other Shastar was the Khanda. Now the Khanda was bigger than the Talwar, and it's obviously double-edged, so it has a blade on both sides. The way the Khanda was used was it was used as a weapon of last resort. So when your arrows had all been spent, when your spear had been broken, when your talwar was lost, then you would pull out the Khanda, and the Khanda was huge. And the way it was used was by the sheer force of its weight when it was swung. That was how it would maim or decapitate or cause injury to the person that used it. So it was that time when you thought, I'm on the battlefield, and I'm not going to be able to leave the battlefield. It's time to pull out the Khanda. So everyone knows the Sakya of Baba Deep Singh, and if you just picture Baba Deep Singh Ji, you can see, and also if you go to India, you can see his Khanda, which is so heavy as 80 kg, 80 kilograms. The normal person, 3 or 4 people couldn't carry it, never mind fighting with it. And that was the might that Baba Deep Singh Ji had. You can see on this, there's a slide with a picture of a tal on, which is a shield, and that was the primary defensive Shastar of the Khalsa. I'm just going to start trying to reset this. And then you have the chakra. And the chakra was employed by every single battle fought by the Khalsa army. It was worn, it was adorned on the Dumala, and it went up many rings of the Dumala, there were chakras. And in some old Bharatan photographs of Nihang Singhs, you can see them wearing also chakras around the neck as well. That's how they used to store them. And it had served two purposes. One was it would protect the head during battle, and the second one, it was used as an offensive weapon. It was thrown. So it would be balanced on the forefinger and spun, and then it would be thrown into the battlefield. And it was either used as a way to put off the enemy, and the other one was it was actually used to maim and take off limbs. And there's accounts by the British that I found that actually report a Sikh on the battlefield could use a chakra and throw a chakra from 70 yards with accuracy and take off a limb. That was how formidable the Khalsa forces were. So I had a beautiful presentation. It's some reason it's not willing to work there. So that was the chakra, and that's a little bit about the physical aspect. The spiritual aspect is that whenever we think of Shastar, whenever we think of warfare, when we think of that warrior aspect, your mind is always drawn to Tantan Sri Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, Tantan Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji, whose Gurmat we just celebrated earlier this week. But I think that the biggest warrior, the biggest example of a warrior that we've had the first example of a warrior that we've had in our Ityas is Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Aap Narayan Kalata Jag Main Parvariyo, Nirankara Akar Jodh Jag Mandal Kariyo. Nirankara Akar, the Creator himself took physical form. The formless took physical form and stepped onto this earth. That was Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And he illuminated the whole of the realms of the earth. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji was the physical manifestation of righteousness on the earth. In a time when the world was so dark, in a time where we had the likes of Babur, who was an invader from Afghanistan, and his armies were plundering and pillaging. They would slaughter innocent children and women and rape them, and they would kill and loot and take everything from the villages. And I just want you to take your mind's eye to a small village in a place where Babur's army is, and all of they're doing, all of this looting and pillaging, murdering, plundering is going on. And everybody from that place is fleeing that place. They're leaving that place. They're fleeing for their lives. And the only thing that you can see in the distance is two small figures. One is Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the other is Bhai Mardana Ji. And as everyone is leaving that place, two small figures are making their way towards that place. And everyone that passes them says, where are you going? Where are you going? The only thing that you're going to meet in that village is death and despair. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Bhai Mardana Ji went anyway. In the face of imminent death, Guru Nanak Dev Ji spoke up against Babur and called him a Zawar, called him a tyrant. And it was said that Babur had the power. He was like one of the most powerful people in that part of the world at the time. Babur, it was said with the blink of an eye, Babur could send someone to their death. That was the power that he had at his fingertips. And in light of that, he couldn't have done anything to Guru Nanak Dev Ji anyway. But in light of that, in the face of imminent death, Guru Nanak Dev Ji went, and his tongue was his biggest shastra. His word was his biggest shastra. Cut through the falsehood of Babur, and actually he made Babur see the error of his ways. And then if we come forward to Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, Miri Peer da Mala, just after Guru Arjan Dev Ji Shahidi, Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, 9 years old, stood at Akal Takht Sahib and addressed the Sikh nation and said to the Sikh nation, all this time we've concentrated on Piri. We've concentrated on Piri. Piri comes from an Arabic word Pir, which means pious, which translates to, we've concentrated on the spiritual aspect. And he adorned the sword that represented the spiritual aspect, the Piri aspect. He said, now Khalsa Ji, it's time to also focus on the media aspect. Those worldly things that are going on in the world, the temporal things, the socio-economic, the political things that are going on in the world, it's time for us also to address this. When tyrants come in, and those who at the lowest point of society are suffering, and those at the lowest point of society are taken advantage of, and they have no rights, it is the duty of the Khalsa to uphold the justices for those who who cannot look after themselves. And so he donned the two Shastars and said, Miriam Piri. And Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji was taught Shastar Vidya, the art of warfare, the science of war, by Baba Buddha Ji. Baba Buddha Ji taught Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Shastar Vidya, and Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji then formed a Khalsa army and kept an army at his side, fought 4 battles, never for any gain, not for land, not for power, not for money, nothing, always for justice. And he won all 4. And after that, we have, if you just look at the Guru Gobind Singh Ji's words, Namaskar Sri Kharg ko kare so hit chit lai. Guru Gobind Singh Ji says, honor to the sword. I bow to the sword with all my love and affection. And there's a British historian called Justin Crew who wrote in 1790, so it's not far after Guru Gobind Singh Ji left. He said, by the sword, he was talking about the sword, he said, by the sword, the Sikhs gain their independence and power. And it's by the sword that the Sikhs preserve it. In Dasambani, Guru Gobind Singh Ji goes on to say something else. He goes, Khanda Pratme Manaka Jin Sab Se Saro Paya. Guru Gobind Singh Ji says that first the Khanda was created, the primal sword was created, then the cosmos came into being. So that energy, that protective nature that is embodied, that is the physical manifestation of the Shastar, that was there at the start of the universe. In Jap Sahib, it says, Namo Shastar Pane, Namo Astar Mane, No Param Gyata, Namo Lokmata. I bow to the wielder of swords, of weapons. I bow to the owner of weapons. I bow to the ultimate knowledge. I bow to the mother of the cosmos. So Maharaj, when Guru Gobind Singh Ji is describing Shastars, he's not just describing a disruptive aspect to it. He's saying actually there's a protective element to it. That is actually, if you look into Ardas starts with Ek Onkar Sri Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh, Sri Bhagavati Ji Sahai. Ardas, the first part of Ardas is taken from Chandi Diwar, written by Guru Gobind Singh Ji. And when Guru Gobind Singh Ji says Sri Bhagavati Ji Sahai, he's referring to that protective nature of the Creator that was there in the beginning, before the cosmos came into being. That's the first thing that we call upon, that we invoke in Ardas. And it's that we call upon. That protective nature, that the physical manifestation of that is the sword. And that's what Guru Gobind Singh Ji gifted to the Khalsa. He said, I give you this sword that is blessed by the One. This sword that is the protective nature of the One. That is for who? For who? For the whole of humanity. And which is why Guru Gobind Singh says, Namaskar Sri Kharg ko kare so hit chitalai. That sword upon, when everyone came here, they walked past the Nishan Sahib. Nishan Sahib, upon the top of the Nishan Sahib is what? Is the Khanda, is the sword. In times of the Guru, the Nishan Sahib didn't have this symbol that we see today with the 2 swords crossing, the Khanda and the Chakra in the middle. The Nishan Sahib was a flag with a katar, punch dagger, and a talwar, the sword. And in Chokpi Sahib every day we say, Kharg khet mein saran tihai, tahari aap haath le bari. Kharg is the sword, khet is the flag or the banner. Mein saran tihari, bring me, please Lord, into your sanctuary, in that place where the banner flies high, adorned by the sword. Aap haath le bari, and by your own hand, please protect me. There were times where the Sikh nation there was a price on a Sikh's head, and the Sikhs didn't have a fixed abode. They couldn't have fixed Gurdwaras, and wasn't safe to go there. So the Sikhs were forced to go into the jungles. In those times, when someone saw Nishan Sahib, it was only when they saw Nishan Sahib they knew actually there's Sikhs here. What did that mean? In that place where the banner flew high and the sword was upon it, people knew in this place I'm going to get protection. In this place I'm going to be safe. Under what? Under that protection of the sword. In that place, what else did they receive? They knew in that place where the Nishan Sahib flew, they were going to receive love in the form of Naam, in the form of Sangat, in the form of family. They knew that they were going to receive food in the langar. These are the things. We'll see if this wants to work. So the Nishan Sahib that we walk past every day. So when Guru Gobind Singh Ji in 1699, when he formed the Khalsa, then he consecrated those two ideals of Miri and Piri and said actually we need to have balance of both, the spiritual aspect and the worldly aspect. That if we just like the yogis went into the mountains, those people with all of the spiritual knowledge, the gyan, those people who could help the world, what good are they in the mountains? When Guru Nanak Dev Ji instead goes tells about going to see the yogis, and the yogis said, tell us what is it like in the world? And Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, you're sitting here, you're the yogis with all of the knowledge, why are you sitting here in the world? So just to be a Piriya element, that will not help the world. And just to be the media, just to be that warrior element is not alone, because you don't have the moral compass to guide you. So Maharaj formed the Sant Sipahi, the saint and the soldier. And he gave us Shastars. He gave us Shastars rather than his physical Shastars. Spiritually, what did he give us? He gave us the Naam. The Naam is a Shastar that cuts through our karma. If we do no Naam, if we don't meditate on Vaheguru, on God's name, all of our karmas, all of our karma is just going to play out anyway. But it's just going to take long. It's going to be a longer road, much winding road. Maharaj says, by meditating on the Naam, in an instant, millions of sins are cut. Millions of sins are cut. And the other aspect is Seva. Seva is the delicious thing. Now there's a video here, I don't know if anyone might have seen,
The Shamsheer or Kirpan, a light saber, is a classic Indian sword. Originating in Persia, the weapon then spread to India and eventually to Europe, where the type became known as the scimitar. This type of Indian dagger, known as a khanjar or kirpan in the Sikh tradition, has a slightly recurved double-edged blade. The handle is made entirely of steel. Symbolically, the kirpan is a reminder to the spiritual devotee to slay the ego. By the 18th century, Indian and Persian soldiers used a round shield called dhal, made of steel or hide. Due to the limited defensive capabilities of the talwar or kirpan, the dhal formed the primary defensive weapon of the Khalsa. The khanda is an ancient sword that dates back to the medieval Indian period prior to the Islamic invasions of Punjab. Although it is a straight-bladed sword, unlike European straight swords, it was not used only for thrusting, but also as a hacking weapon, designed for cutting and slashing, while doing maximum damage due to the sheer force of its blade swing. This light, strong, one-piece breastplate is a technically perfect piece of plate armor. Its style imitates the shape of a 16th century doublet, closed-fitting jacket.
To share with you that for the first time I went to Hazur Sahib last year, and I saw that there were so many Sikhs that were wearing kirpan on the outside. So many Sikhs, especially Bibia, that wore kirbans on the outside. And I thought to myself, isn't this absolutely beautiful? Isn't this beautiful? In a place where we can see the kakar, see the kirpan on the outside, especially Bibia. And I thought, this is absolutely beautiful. And I thought, everyone who wears a kirpan, my own personal thought is that it should be a live blade. It should be something that, if ever you're called upon and you need to be able to protect someone, it should be something that you can use. And I think in 90% of the Gurdwaras across the world, you go into the place where they have the kakars, and you open up the kirpan, it will be a stainless steel blade that's blunt, completely blunt. And I think, please, let's stop symbolizing our kakar and have them as they were meant to be. If it's kirpan, please have a kirpan that is sharp, that is live, that is an actual kirpan and not a symbol. And that's my only bindi. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru